are. I have chosen this time because it's 7 a.m. here. Let's see now. I've got to grab a piece of paper. Apologize. This is Matthew with the Five Steps Organization, and I do a daily update, and today I'm combining my new podcast idea with the daily update idea because I'd like to share with other people this question. Now, I'm inviting people to do the podcast. I've got to find a way to. I've got to figure out how to make it so that it's a split screen, so there's me on one and the person I'm interviewing on the other screen. And I want to get ideas from people about what do you think is wrong with the world? Do you feel like there's anything wrong with the world? Some people don't. And but some people feel like, well, there is something wrong, and what we need is this. We need to change presidents, or we need to maybe change the money system, or we need to change war or poverty. And they see that there's a problem with poverty, for example, and then they might have an idea because they've thought about it, and it bothers them every time. So for me, I have my own ideas about what's wrong with the world. Lots of things on my list that I think should not be the case if human beings are compassionate, if they're conscious. But many people are not very conscious. They're too busy, distracted with their lives. And too many people are also really, they lost their compassion. They become numb. And they just become these superficial kind of robots that go to work every day and then they consume, whether it's junk food or whether it's junk news. They consume things that are irrelevant, things that don't really make a difference in the world. And this, I think, is at least 90% living in the US. At least 90% of the people aren't really aware of what's going on. They don't really understand what the government's up to, as if the government is some entity. It's not really, it's just a bunch of people. And trying to keep their jobs. Some of them are trying to do good. Some of them are trying to do bad, what we would call bad, but they think it's good. So the reason I have this podcast and the reason why I'm doing my project in Ziru, Uganda, is because I think I know what's important to me about the world. And what I think is the most important thing, the biggest problem in the world that we should deal with is 15,000 children dying every day from our neglect. Now, this isn't car accidents, and this isn't uncontrollable pandemics. This is like dirty water, and they drink their dirty water, and then they get diarrhea, and then they don't get treatment for that, and they die. Starvation. People get people get relocated because there are conflicts and there's a lot of death right now in Yemen. There is a lot of death going on in Yemen right now because of the war there. Because Saudi Arabia is fighting, from what I understand, not only the Houthi rebels, people that don't like the leadership there, but some other groups along with that. And when you talk to the people from these areas, it's amazing how different the story is. How they say, okay, maybe this part is kind of true, but in general, here's what's really going on. It's absolutely amazing. You don't get the whole story. When I was in Kuwait, I spoke to people about the Saddam Hussein, what he did, and how the Americans went in and killed all those people because they didn't like the fact that it sounds ridiculous thinking about it now, as if America has any right at all to go in there and do that. But the Kuwaitis were saying, look, we're brothers. We used to be part of Iraq. We've been here for a long time. I spoke with a lot of different people in Kuwait when I was there, and they told me that the story that I got on the news was absolutely completely wrong. I was in Pakistan. I was in Karachi at the time when Saddam Hussein was actually caught. And the people there in Pakistan are so loyal to Saddam Hussein, and so anti-American, that they were in denial. They went into denial. They said, look, this didn't happen. This isn't really him. This is like he's got a lot of doubles. And it was one of his doubles that got caught. But it wasn't him. Travel around the world, it's an amazing thing. You learn another language and you interact with that culture in their own language. It's amazing, you know. I spent so many years in China and so many years in Thailand, time in so many different countries, that I've been lucky enough to get this perspective. And it wasn't until I could speak and read some Chinese that I really understood much, much more about the Chinese mindset, how the government works, how the Chinese people think, and how their culture functions. And you know, different cultures have different values and different things. Like, for example, in Thailand, you can't move something with your foot. It's considered extremely rude. You can't point at a picture of the king. Can't say something bad about the king. Go to jail for that. Get kicked out of the country, maybe, if you're lucky. But people go to jail for that. So in America, you can say anything about Biden, and people do. People say anything about Trump, people do, and they don't go to jail for it. Maybe you get beat up in a bar. Maybe people look down on you. Maybe people separate. So there's really some different things from country to country. Let me go through my list here right now about things that I like to say on my daily updates, because this will be used as a video for daily updates too. Time and the place right now, I mentioned already, it's about 8 minutes now after 7 a.m. in the morning here in Chiang Rai, Thailand. And the date is, what is it? It's Friday the 24th of September 2021. We've got a goal now. We're raising money for our project in Ziru, Uganda, which is the first that I know of its kind. It's designed to create a sustainable community. In other words, this is a community center, not where you just go to play basketball or something like that, although we're going to have that. But it's a place where you can get nurturing, where you can get support, where you can get help, where you can go to people and you can say, look, I'm having trouble with this or that in my life. Something I never had. And something I never got from my family when I grew up, you know, the youngest of 6, middle class, basically Catholic, in the Midwest, Chicago area. I had absolutely no sense of any support system whatsoever, and especially a lot more, you know, religious fanaticism in my family, that when I didn't go along with their ideas, you know, I became abandoned. I was abandoned, you know, when I left home at 16. No one in my family gave me a call and said, how you doing? What's going on? They were going through their own struggles, and they had no model for nurturing, you know. So they didn't know that I needed that. But that was a good thing, because it's helped me to have so much more empathy for people that are abandoned, like these 15,000 kids every day. They're just abandoned. Nobody cares. It's amazing how many resources are wasted every day that could save these lives. And that's the campaign that I'm on. That's what I see, because once we start to care about each other, and once we start to share, and once we have a sense of community where we are aware that we're responsible for each other, not some psychosis like a friend of mine mentioned the other day. Oh, you're sick if you think you're responsible for everything all the time, everywhere. No, that's so rare that anybody would be that crazy that would think that. But what really is missing is people don't care about each other in general. People have become numb. Like I said, they're not really conscious to what's going on in the world, and they've lost their compassion. So I'm in a position, I have a viewpoint to where I feel like I've seen enough of the world. I've been through enough religions. I haven't met anybody who's been through as many religions that I have firsthand or secondhand. I have never met anybody who's experimented with this idea about God, or, you know, I was even into a cult, hypnosis, handwriting analysis when I was 10. And so I've looked into a lot of things all my life. That's been my job. And I've dropped out of systems, and I've always worked outside of systems to look at these things. And what I've concluded is The people that are hurting the most are these kids. I have compassion. Some people have compassion for whales. They say save the whales, or the dogs that are getting, skinned alive in some cultures, China being one of them. They skin the dogs alive because it's easier to take the coat off of them when they're alive. If you kill them, then the coat, the skin sticks more, something like that. So the dog's actually hanging, being skinned. So anyway, some people have compassion for that. I sure do too. But I set as a priority these children that are dying because they're abandoned, not because they need any special operation, not because they need any big amount of money. We're talking about pennies a day. It's nothing. So that's what I've chosen, that I feel like is the saddest thing, because if I was in some remote place and my parents didn't have the resources to get me help, and I was lying in my mother's arms, knowing that she knows I'm going to die. I know I'm going to die. I'm scared to death. I would want somebody out there who's shopping for a designer purse, deciding, should I get the $4,500 one or should I get the $6,000 one this year, because it's going to go out of fashion in 6 months. I would want somebody who had those kind of resources to care about me. I would want somebody who had those resources to say, what's more important? Filling my closet or saving a life? And if we're talking about $4,500, you can save a whole lot of lives with that kind of money. People get caught up. Religion gets in the way. People are waiting for their God to do something. And they're so stuck in this idea about their God that they just wait. They do nothing. They build bigger churches. They build more churches. They do fun stuff. It's amazing how people don't work together, don't care about each other. They separate based upon race, politics, financial standing, sports even. People get all excited about sports. When I was in Chicago, the Chicago Cubs were such a big deal. I never really got it. People memorizing all the players on a team and how those players are scoring. And this is where they put their time, and this is where they put their energy, and this is where they put their focus, and we got 15,000 children dying every day. What if it was your child? You'd care, wouldn't you? So it makes me angry when I see the superficiality and the ignorance, the chosen ignorance. People choose to be ignorant. But everybody's got their reason, right? But it does get frustrating. It really gets frustrating. So our goal is to raise money for this Ziru project in Ziru, Africa, which is in Uganda, and it's just outside of Kampala. It's southwest of the city of Kampala, kind of near the Entebbe airport. They're very close in an area called Entebbe. And we're going to build a community center, and the community center is going to be a place to where people can go. 2,000, maybe 2,500 people can go there and find a sustainable resource that's going to be there, that's going to help them live their lives. Not some clerk sitting at a desk that's going to sign you up, sign you in, or take your money to go swimming in the pool there. Not about that. We won't have a pool. Maybe someday, huh? That would be nice, maybe. But a person who's there that says, okay, what's going on? What can I help you with? We've got computers you can use. We've got people that are looking for employees. We've got a place here. We've got chickens, and you can help out with the chickens, and then you can take a chicken home, or you can take some eggs home. We've got a big greenhouse. We can go in there and help maintain the greenhouse, or if we have an aquaponics where we've got fish in there too, that's a possibility. Take a fish home, take some vegetables home, in exchange for contribution, because there's accountability. We're not talking about what some people call a welfare state, where people are just taking and taking and they're not doing anything. They're just going home and eating Fritos and watching TV all day while they collect their free money. Absolute opposite of that. Because what we want to do is these people that have no system to plug themselves into, that's what the unemployment numbers are about. It's ridiculous. There should be never any unemployment whatsoever, because there's always stuff to do. So what's wrong with that system? I could go on, and I'm not going to do it today, because I'm going to wrap this up before it gets too long of a podcast here, of a podcast. By the way, anyone, if you're watching, you're welcome to make any comments. It looks like right now there's nobody watching, so people will watch later. There's 0 viewers right now, and even though it's, I think it's about 7 a.m. in Chicago. No, it's 7 a.m. here, so it's about 7 p.m. there. Who knows what people are doing? So maybe this is not a good time. We'll see. Maybe I'll need to announce this, and then people can watch if they want. And they'll know it's coming. Create an event. So the unique thing that we're doing with the community center is we're re-engineering a culture that's unproductive right now, especially in this place I'm mentioning in Uganda. There's a quarry, a rock quarry near the village. Roughly 80% of the people in the village will go there, sit on the ground, break up rocks with a little hammer. Working 84 hours, they get paid $11. I think it's something like, I forgot, 13 cents an hour or something like that. It's something ridiculous. And when you look at the economy, that doesn't support one person. It doesn't feed one person, really. If you pick one of the cheapest snacks and they have that, breakfast, lunch, and dinner for that whole 7 days, they're going to have just a few cents left over. So anyway, this is what most of the people are doing. That's what's wrong with the economy there. And they can't get out of this rut, and we're going to get them out of this rut. We're going to invest in the community center. So we're looking for people that are interested in supporting something like this. And initially we're looking at between $10,000 and $25,000 to build this community center, to support the resources necessary to build this community center. Okay, at the end of this video, or on the notes here, I'm going to put the contact information. Please tell a friend. And this video will also be on the 5 Steps website on YouTube. It'll be on our YouTube channel. We're hoping that people will like the 5steps.org Facebook page, and we're hoping that people will also subscribe to the YouTube channel, so that the more people see it, the more people are interested, the more people say, hey, what's that? What the heck are those guys doing? So that's what we're doing here. My name is Matthew. The project name is 5steps.org, number 5, and then steps.org. That's the name of the website. Go there, you get a lot of information. Redoing that website, by the way. So right now it's functioning, but it's not its new version, which will be by this weekend. The new version will be done. I'm working on it every day doing that. So anyway, thanks so much for listening. How many minutes are we up to here? I don't know how many minutes we've been going, but it looks like we've been going about 18 minutes. So time to sign off. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you have a wonderful day. Hope you find some value in this, and I hope you can find it in your heart to at least comment, or you maybe even contribute, at least subscribe to the YouTube channel. Okay, thanks again for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow.